Link. Yep. Hey, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining the second version of Scaling Now. So today we have Roman and Igor from POA Network, and they are actually a perfect follow-up for our first interview with Parity, because they took the Parity's bridge tech and customized it for their own use case and have been really pushing forward the cross-chain crowd sales and doing all sorts of cool things with bridge chains. I still don't know what to call these things. I want to call them side chains, but I guess there's something different. So we should probably just start with a quick introduction, 10 seconds. I'm Griff from Giveth. I'm super stoked to figure out how to scale for my own dApp, and I'm excited to show everyone else my research. And Arthur.
Yeah, I'm Arthur Urquazia, again with Giveth. Work on social coding, so I'm out here trying to get everybody to open source everything. All right.
Igor?
Hi guys, my name is Igor. I am technical lead of POA Network, and I'm responsible for orchestration of all processes we have inside. Yeah, we're mostly an R&D company, and
and Roman?
Hi, I'm Roman Storm. I'm responsible for writing smart contracts and like JavaScript D applications at POA Network.
Very cool, very cool. So you guys have a lot going on at POA Network. Like this is I felt like I fell into a rabbit hole when I started researching you guys. There's so much going on, but I really I mean, you have validators that are US notaries. You have a really interesting governance structure, and you guys are building lots of cool chains that you can link to everybody. I mean, you have so much going on. I really want to focus though on just the stuff that will help dApp scale in the next 3 to 6 months and now, right? So try to keep that scope in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll maybe at the end I'll do like okay, cut. That's scalability now, and then we can just talk about what you guys got going on, because it is really cool, especially Roman's governance stuff. But let's just have a quick check-in on who the audience is. We're going to be focusing on actual competent Ethereum devs that have a dApp that they want to put on the Ethereum network ASAP. They're considering using sidechains as a strategy, or POA networks and things like that. So they're already interested in what you have. They probably understand a lot about Ethereum, but there's so much to know. So don't be afraid if you start talking about something that's more technical, especially specific about the bridges or POA networks. People don't always have that full understanding, but they're not rookies, and they have a good technical background.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do we start? Do you have any specific question we should start with?
Oh yes, you know I do, because I slightly passed them to you. but yeah, so I want to start with the Parity bridge, because that's where we left off in the last one. You guys had to make the decision to take their open source software and run with it. I'm curious about how you came to the decision that the Parity bridge was the right move.
Yeah, well, we're starting from the end and also from the future, not from the beginning. What POA network is? Yeah, let's a little bit explain what POA network is, right? So it's an open network. Public means it has some value, and it had crowd sale. So investors invested their ethers into tokens of this network. It's based on POA consensus called the authority round, created by Parity. And we added our implementation of identity at stake meta consensus and on-chain governance to manage this network. So when we started to create it, we understood that there are lots of gaps when you want to start public federated networks. Who validators are, how they're selected, how ceremony organized, how can any concerned third party can prove that this validator is a real person, how to connect all these dots. And that's where we figure out that our governance model and our meta consensus and we implemented it and launched, right? Well, why we need one more Ethereum-based network, right? And not because we want to be just like owners of our network or people who launched it, right? It's a work for community, right? We organize it, but we organize it for a reason. And one of the idea which I like about side chains, especially side chains Ethereum based, that they can be connected. And there are several approaches to have a so-called like fourth generation of blockchain, where blockchains can be connected using something. It can be a relay chain like in Polkadot, it can be some hubs like in Cosmos. And I really like the idea of Parity bridge. This idea was introduced to me by Peter from Parity, now from Web3 Foundation, and he told me, yeah, try this out. And when I opened this repository, it was just like without any description, just a diagram, and I thought, wow, it's something which we can use if we can add some parts that we need. Well, what to transfer? You know, if you have two blockchains, what are you going to transfer from blockchain to blockchain? You know, obvious answer is, yeah, let's transfer some native currency. Like, let's make an atomic swap. Let's exchange one Bitcoin to one Litecoin. And we saw these examples when people exchange one Bitcoin for one Litecoin, and it's not very interesting from perspective of scalability. You can build something like cross-chain decentralized exchange using this, and this is a big story. But for now, not many use cases. And we started to think, you know, what's clogging Ethereum network? And at that time, it was CryptoKitties, it was ICOs, right? Guess wars, and all this stuff. And because we had an open source product, ICO Wizard, and people use this wizard to create their own tokens and crowd sale campaigns, we started to think maybe it's possible to make something like, okay, you raise money on Ethereum network, but you have your token on sidechain, right? So you used the main network to raise funds. Why? You use it because there are lots of investors, and there is a culture of and also it's connected to all exchanges. It's relatively easy to connect your ERC20 token to an exchange. But after you have your token, and you have to deliver utility part of your token, and it requires computations, and computations are expensive, right? They are slow. Well, I don't want to say bad words about foundation network, but we all know there some problems. And the obvious idea was, okay, we can raise funds on foundation network, but we can create our token or part of our token on POA based network, right? And we decided to integrate Parity Bridge into our product in ICO Wizard. And the best way how we can test it is to use in our own crowd sale. So we added ERC20 support of ERC20 to what we call right side of the bridge. If you remember,
right side?
Yeah, it's Parity calls foreign and the home part, but I think like here's the bridge, and there is something on left side of the bridge and on the right side of the bridge, because you go from left to the right when you cross the bridge.
So the left side in this case is the main Ethereum network, and the right.
Yeah. So in this case, on left side you listen. Bridge listen for events, and on the right side it creates transactions, right? So on the left side we used our ICO Wizard contract, and this contract emitted events recognizable by Bridge. And on the right side we created transactions, and these transactions some quorum of transactions, let's say it's like multi-sig wallet. So if you have a requirement to get three transactions to mint a token, if three instances of bridge sign these transactions and send transactions successfully to the right side of the bridge, this token will be minted. So we implemented ERC20 token support on the right side of the bridge, and this is the result of this implementation you watched on my YouTube video, right, about cross-chain crowd sales. Yeah, it was really fast and exciting. Yeah, you have, and it's all in UI, and you understand that it's actually working, and you don't need complex structures. You don't need additional cryptocurrencies of these relay chains. You don't need to to have these complex structures, and yeah, it's like trade agreements between countries when you set up, and also it's like trade agreements between companies. Yeah, you specify, okay, from one chain, I'm going to supply this token. On another chain I'm going to issue that token, and you set up this bridge. But what do we need to make it usable? Yeah, we need to make first of all, we need to create strong use cases, and we didn't find it yet, right? We have ideas what are the strong use cases. So for us, it's ability to move part of already successful ICO from foundation network to POA network, and not to move like 100% of liquidity, but a small part of liquidity for computational purpose. I think this is a possible strong use case.
Okay, yeah, so if someone has an ERC20 token that they want to do a DApp, they could somehow maybe link that ERC20 and move some of it to POA network.
Yeah, and they can do this, and this is a use case we believe will be very useful. And we already have some. The good story here, there are there are projects, and these projects they know other projects. Let's say, and they can use some software or some ideas of other projects. It's how building how interaction between projects are building. And in our use case, we have this project for organizing crowd sale, and successful projects on crowd sale. Now they starting to think, okay, how can we leverage our existing friendship? How can we use let's say POA network? And one of the great examples is Block Array. It's a successful project, raised $12 million something, and yeah, they plan to move part of their token from foundation network to POA network to offload computations and to make them more scalable. And if POA network will be expensive, yeah, you just move your assets from network to network. You just you quit your job and you go to another job, right? You just start to do something new.
Or you reincorporate in a new country. It's like, oh, we started as a US company, but the regulations, we need to move over here.
Yeah, and what I like about it is it's not only about price of execution. Also, if you don't like governance, you can move from network to network. Yeah, you don't like something. Miners or validators. For some reason, let's say validators on POA network can stop to validate blocks, right? Or they can, or more people come and this network will be slow. It's possible, scenarios which may happen, and token holders they can move their tokens from network to network. But what do we need for this? We need a culture of bridging. We need a culture of moving from place to place. Yeah. And you're a great example. Yeah, this stream is from Thailand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they moved there, moved to Thailand.
Yeah, I'm against nationalism and crypto tribalism, so I think this is a very important discussion. But I want to bring it back to your experience with the bridge a little bit, because you guys took the code that Parity had and retrofitted it for your own purposes. And I'm really curious, because I think that there might be a lot of projects that are looking to do that. I'm curious about how that experience was in general, how easy it was to modify, and if your bridge wizard will make this easier for other projects in the future.
Yeah, it's you know, when integration with new teams and new projects, it's always some period of understanding each other and understanding in which directions you're moving. Is it the same or not? So luckily, we have good relations with Parity team, and this is one of the reasons why we decided to be contributor. And then our plan is to be the main contributor, maybe after Parity, to contribute to Parity vision and to Bridge vision. But yeah, it's a good thing about working with Parity is, if you have actually a question and this technical question, you can get answer. And also, if you contribute back, it is accepted. So if it's meaningful and beneficial for community. So that's why I like this team. Well, it's possible that we will have different vision on different topics, but it's fine, right? It's fine, and it's better.
And how was working with the code? It was pretty well documented. You had to make a lot of changes, just a few changes. How did you decide what you needed to change?
Yeah, so that's a good part. When I first time saw it, it was just a diagram, right? And we asked it, okay, what parameters are, and some parameters didn't work, and we submitted a pull request, and this pull request was accepted, and Parity described all these parameters. So I can say I was happy with it, and now we're experimenting on our side, but we plan to contribute back. Totally, because we think we have practical use cases, because we're practical because we have a network and we need to leverage these use cases. And first use case with cross-chain crowd sales, and we will leverage it. And second strong use case, and which can be good for forks or side chains, is how to connect token on this blockchain to exchanges, right? Because if you have a token on Ethereum Classic and you will try to list on a major exchange, you will get a tough time, right, connecting it. And if you have a ERC20 token on a new blockchain like POA network, which is not connected to exchanges yet, or to, I don't know what are new networks like Tomo Chain or Elysium. Did you hear this names of sidechain?
No, I haven't yet. But yeah, I need to look them up.
Or Rublix or Ryblox.
Yeah. Yes.
No, not Ryblox. Rublix. It's a new one. And yeah, so I think this year we'll have lots of new sidechains, lots of new forks, and they all will have the same problem. So first, how to connect their blockchain to exchange, and second, how to connect tokens on their new blockchain to exchanges, and it will be crazy hard for them. So, but the obvious solution to this. Okay, you create token on your blockchain. Like someone created crowd sale on POA network, and 100% of their tokens on POA network, but they need liquidity, so they transfer this token from POA network to main Ethereum network, and they lock this liquidity on the right side of the bridge in POA network, and unlock it on Foundation network. And after it's unlocked, you can use decentralized exchange first, which is simple and require less time to get your token on decentralized exchange. And second, you can connect as a ERC20 token to any major exchange. So it will help to run these tokens on side chains, but also have liquidity for them and leverage visibility on Ethereum Foundation network. And it's good for what reason? It's good because all these projects will stay in Ethereum ecosystem, and that's what it's our end goal, to have Ethereum ecosystem like major computational platform, let's say like Microsoft, in some sense, right? In some sense, like Microsoft.
Well, all those guys see the scaling on the wall. I mean, everyone uses that as an excuse on why they're not doing stuff. So if they can make their own POA network, then that excuse kind of disappears, and boom, we have a whole fleet of Solidity developers working on open source protocol being funded by corporations. How funny is that, right?
Sure, sure.
I mean, that sounds good to me. Okay, so just to recap, as far as modifying the bridge, you guys took their code and you modified it a little bit, but you're pushing all those changes back upstream so everyone gets to play with it.
Yes, yeah, no, right. But we plan to push more, and we have our. So this is a process we're setting up right now, because we have roadmap, and for roadmap we had a idea of connecting one or two networks, POA-based network with each other, or POA network to mainnet. It's not the first step. First step is to launch this network. Second is to prove governance model, and we have our trusted ceremony, and we have governance to add, remove validated. Well, Roman will tell more about it later when you ask it. We are ready to talk about governance models. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, just
that's my thing for sure. I'm curious, actually, you kind of brought it up just now about what does it take to run your own network? Like you guys have to deploy your own blockchain, which is kind of scary for people. And it's a POA network. You have this roadmap, which is pretty cool, where you have like 3 validators, you're going to more. But I'm just curious more about like the process of setting up your own chain, and how maybe you did it this time and how you probably do it next time if you had to do it again.
Yeah. Well, first, like, don't do it in your home. Don't do it in your home. Yeah. So I'm still. Sometimes I woke up at night and think, is it here or not? Because, yeah, when you put your ERC20 token on mainnet, you should worry much less about infrastructure and all this stuff. So it's a complex process, and so first of all, this type of consensus and meta consensus we implemented, never tested in never used, never tested in public networks. So we are the first Ethereum-based federated consensus, which is trustless because validators are independent and non-affiliated with each other. So one big concern was about security audits, and we ordered 6 security audits, 2 of Roman's smart contracts, and from 2 very well-known.
Yeah, I saw Boki did it. He's
Boki.
Great.
He's a good one.
Oh yeah.
and Alex Valde also is a good one from Authio. We also ordered a security audit of Parity implementation of this authority round consensus from a very well-known security researcher, GP Omason. He's from Kudelski Security, and we basically ordered a security audit for our wallet. We used the first time mobile wallet for this network is Trust Wallet. And also we ordered DDoS for our testnet, and we figure out how inexpensive is it to to DDoS public federated network if you don't take measures before, right? So those reports are publicly available, so anyone can take them. So this is from this part, and and second part is implementing something no one did before in this space. It's not easy, right? But now what we thought we not only launch our network, but we also provide these tools to anyone who would like to launch the same network. So if you want to launch POA-based network, you have our documentation about ceremony. You have audited smart contracts. You have our history of how we modify this consensus, and you have history of hard forks we had. You have our
can you talk about, you had a couple hard forks, were they accidental or were they like intentional?
Roman, can you how many hard forks did you have?
So on a so-called network in our testnet, we had 3 hard forks. So they were not intentional. It was just a few minor issues that were found during the testing of our governance model within the testnet of our testnet validator. So we have a process for every a validator in order to make sure the validator understands our governance system and understands what is the role of a validator. We would like to invite them to our testnet first, and in the testnet we do a bunch of interesting things. Like every validator has a 3 keys: validator key, payout key, voting key, and we have this governance system that allows you to dynamically let's create a ballot for adding a new validator, and then validators can participate by voting with their voting key, and they say, okay, I vote yes, I would like this validator to be accepted in our network. And I mean, that's basically overall our governance. So the reason why we had hard forks, there were some minor issues in the smart contracts that were not found by anybody else before, and that's why we had to hard fork them in order to fix the issues in the main POA consensus contract, and that's basically why we had the hard forks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's
so the hard forks on the main network were intentional to fix something, but the hard forks on the testnet were this is the experimenting, trying things.
The hard fork, all it did in our case is just fix the issue in a smart contract, and then move over at a certain block all validators to a new smart contract which would fix the issues.
Okay. But all clients will not work with without updating spec.json. And this is exciting for us because we tested hard fork on live network with about $60 million value, and it successfully hard forked, and now we have this experience, and we can leverage this experience for hard forks, because if you start the network and you never experienced hard fork, you don't know how to organize it, and it's kind of a new process, and we plan to make this process more described, more regulated, and make in enterprise software there's a strategy called chaos engineering, when you or else like Netflix or Google, they have they shut down servers time to time just to test how it works. Yeah, also hard fork gives you lots of adrenaline.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I know what you're talking about for sure.
Yeah, so. and I think that how to back up blockchain, how to restore it, and and it's not like this, right? It's not like it's not like this.
No. But but you guys have been to war, and that's valuable for sure, and that's pretty exciting. So what you're saying is, as far as running your own POA network, don't do it. Try at least don't trailblaze as much as you like as you think, and try to take proven software. Maybe is the best strategy.
Yeah, and also you need to understand that that the world around you is not friendly, that you will struggle with of problems, and also community. If you're building on Ethereum, it doesn't mean that Ethereum community will fully support you, and there are some cornerstones in our community which prevent forks and sidechains, and from our perspective, it's a stopping factor for horizontal scalability, and this is also part of our efforts. How can we make more tools and required toolings more available to sidechain and forks?
Yeah, so I saw that you guys are on MyEther wallet. They support. They're pretty awesome. I love those guys. Taylor and team are just incredible, right? Really, I don't know how they do so much in this space. And even on the background, they're always fighting phishers too, and they're like the background security force for Ethereum. It's amazing, really. But they support you. But who else is like? You have Trust Wallet, your mobile wallet.
Yeah, this is a very good example. It's a new project started, in last year by a local developer in Silicon Valley, and they started fully open source Ethereum wallet, and they're open to forks and to side chains. So right now, at least on iOS version, it supports Foundation network, Ethereum Classic, and POA network. So it's main network, fork, and sidechain, right? So it's a trinity. And also they support testnets and then independent testnets. Sometimes open source tool they support fork or sidechain, but they don't support testnet of fork or testnet of sidechain. It's also a question, right?
Well, I mean, it's all open source, so if you guys put it on there, they will likely approve it if you follow their game, right? Like do the tests and
yes and no. So you can submit a pull request and it's never been accepted, and you can find this pull request for MetaMask, where pull request by us, pull request by Ethereum Classic, and long reads with and then you can read some like, okay, this is like political decision. No, but what I like
that's
about
MetaMask, but Trust Wallet, if they support your test network, then you're good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But speaking about MetaMask, they have a new interesting feature. So from Roman, can you explain this? What how you can specify a network from inside the app, not from MetaMask?
So MetaMask actually they explained one of the proposal and the reason why they don't want to accept any sidechains. However, they are working on some new exciting API that, if I understood it correctly, they will allow the app developers to switch a network programmatically, something like that, which will help a lot, especially me as a decentralized application developer. That will solve a lot of problems. However, there are some security concerns, in my opinion, that malicious developers, they can force to switch your network, run a Ethereum fork with a EAP 155 not compliant, and then they can do the replay attack. But I'm pretty sure I also submitted a new issue into Parity. That would be great if there is a RPC method to know if this network is EAP 155 compliant, which might solve the issue.
Is this MetaMaskera? Is that their?
Yes, MetaMask has an open proposal for this new API.
What's the name of the proposal? Is it MetaMaskera or is it something else?
We'll find it. So let's ask next question. I will answer, and then Roman can help me to find it.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Well, then I'm curious about you were talking about pegging an ERC20. I think a lot of people will want to go from the ERC20 route. Like they have a token. There's a lot of dApps that have a token. I'm thinking like Swarm City, Aragon. These guys, they actually have a ERC20 token right now on the mainnet, and I think they will want to run a dApp on some other net because they have a lot of interactions going on in the and it'd be nice if they could do it in a cheap network, but still maintain their value and do right to the people who supported their project, thinking this is going on Ethereum mainnet. So can you talk about that, exactly how they would be able to bridge, let's just say, to the POA network with their ERC20 token? Especially the technical details.
It's not our main use case. So our main use case is how to convert native currency from POA network or from any sidechain to ERC20 token on Foundation network. This is this is our use case. And can I explain this use case?
Sure. I mean, well, do you think that you would be able to support the other use case? Is that like a...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's possible. So basically, you send with ERC20 token is the same idea. So on left side of the bridge, you have a contract, and you send your token to this contract, and this contract creates an event, and this event basically says so that the account which sent this token has this amount of token, and if you specified on the right side of the bridge that you will create or unlock, it depends on strategy. Can be different strategies, right? So one strategy, you mint new token, but it can be risky for many reasons, and we think it should be also a big consideration how much tokens or coins validators can transfer daily, and so one idea is to, if token has fixed supply, like most tokens has fixed supply, we can create the same supply of this token on the right side of the bridge, and can unlock or assign new owners to this transfer tokens. So if you transfer on left side, means you locked on left side, and contract which locked emitted an event. Validators listen to this event, and they created n out of m transactions, which is specified in your multi-sig strategy. And smart contract on right side accepted all these transactions, and if quorum is reached, let's say n out of m, it unlocks or assign this tokens on right side of the bridge to the same owner, or if we transfer with data to a new owner. Okay. So this is a basic strategy, and we plan to implement a UI for this. I can share a link later with our vision how it should be.
Yeah, send me all the links that you guys want. I'll put them in the bottom of the YouTube in the comments so that everyone can see them. Because I'm sure, I mean, I have a list of links, but I'm sure you guys got better ones. I mean, that doesn't seem that complicated, honestly. And in fact, I feel like Waves, do you guys know Waves?
Absolutely.
They did that, right? They do something very similar.
With Ethereum?
Yeah, I think so. I thought they were able to do some kind of cross-chain between Ethereum to Waves, and it's like a federated peg for their token. No?
But we are for Ethereum ecosystem, and here's also a question about tooling, and blockchain explorers. And if we can have a blockchain explorer which will support all side chains and forks, we can make this transparent. You can search for your account, and you can see how your token distributed across different networks, or you can see, and you can have aggregated view, and if all these chains support the same EVM, it's more interesting for our ecosystem, right? Because
absolutely, and that runs right in my next questions. I want to deep dive. You guys are building a block explorer.
Yeah, right.
And I'm very curious about, there are a few other open source projects that are pushing the block explorer. In fact, the old lead dev for My Ether wallet, Kosala, he's got one that I'm pretty excited about, but I don't think he's been able to pull off internal transactions yet. And I think there's a few other people that are working on open source block explorers, and they still have this issue with, how do we trace internal transactions? I feel like that's the big barrier. Is that what you guys are experiencing too, or? No,
we're not experiencing. It's in our roadmap, and we don't have this. We know how to make it, and we have this problem. Problem is, I think the biggest problem is not about implementation of blockchain explorer or some features, but the problem is someone need to take this responsibility to make a blockchain explorer which will be full-featured, so on par with Etherscan, with all features needed by developers, and take this project from point A to point B, where this project can be launched on Ethereum compatible network. This product should be open sourced, right? It should be scalable, and this is a part of our strategy. We have enough resources to make it open source and don't think about business model. We will not put any advertising, any data selling, and so forth. And one of the important part we think should be open to community is that metadata stored by this blockchain explorer should be possible to make like a dump of this data or to store it on some decentralized storages. Like source of smart contracts. Well, there are in Etherscan you have Swarm link there, right? But it's not aggregated and still subject to possible subject manipulation or some data loss of data. So we think that this blockchain explorer should support data extraction and access to all possible on-chain and off-chain data stored in this explorer by API.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's our goal. And here we started to work with local shop, and we have our part and their part, and they're helping us with resources. And we're excited about this about this project. Now it's not, the code of this explorer is not open, so we want to finish our beta version and publish this explorer for POA network, and also allow community to contribute it back.
So does the block explorer that you have for POA network right now, does it show token transfers, or what's its state like right today?
Not today. It's in our roadmap. But it will be in March.
Okay, I'm pretty excited. I mean, I'm talking about scalability, and like really the biggest. I mean, at least why Giveth decided to move to Rinkeby, and maybe Kovan, we're discussing it as a team, is because it has an Etherscan, and I mean that this is what is, in my opinion, slowing down ETC, Ubic, Expanse, POA, Tomo, Ella, like all these guys that they have an EVM, they want to use it, but you can't use. I mean, I can't run my DApp if I can't, tell people what's going on when they call a function. Like I don't feel good about that.
That's what we want to solve. Absolutely, this is 100% our.
Yeah, and I'm sure that
main thing.
I mean, I know Ubic has like 3 block explorers that are 2 of them are community run, and then there's ETC has a couple, and I'm sure that those devs. I mean, maybe we just need to get everybody in a room together that's working on these open source block explorers and have a little swap, like information swap. Because
so that's why we decided to work with Agile team. This Roman, can you explain a little bit about our process? So we have Agile process.
Yes, so we work with a dev shop that is helping us with POA Explorer, and we basically every week we would have a demo with a retrospective on what went well, what went wrong in our implementation of the Explorer.
Yeah. So what I want to add is that this project is like everyday work. It's everyday stand-ups, and it's very important for us to bring this project to this to this state where we can have fully compatible, with all full-featured clone of Etherscan, which will be available to any Ethereum fork or sidechain, and it's a very ambitious project, right? So that's why
very ambitious.
Yeah, very ambitious, and what
Are you guys in the US right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because Tesla is in the US too. I'm just going to try to make sure that I'm going to try to connect you guys, because he's an amazing developer, and I really think that you guys could if nothing else. If you guys are already in the same time zone, that's a good start. So
Okay.
I want to move to some Q&As from the crowd. So hopefully you guys can throw some questions out there. I got one from Niraj. What kind of partnership will you be seeing with BlockArray, and how will it affect both sides of growth?
Yeah, so BlockArray used our open source tool ICO Wizard to create their crowd sale. So after they raised funds, we did security. It was a security audit on their live smart contract. It's proven that token contract is it's safe, and so it's a good story of collaboration between two projects. And we plan to host their part of their token on POA network, and we will use Parity Bridge with our modifications to transfer this token. And with BlockArray, we basically one of the first projects we are working on. And it's a great story because it's a story made by people. They use their own they use software built by other open source team, and they started to to be closer, and they started to think in the same and they start to see some problems, and they understand how they can help each other. We believe in that logistic industry where they trying to make some changes. It's very important, and we'll continue to work with them.
That's cool. Are there other groups that you guys are working with? Do you have very many collaborations?
We there are many projects that are thinking, okay, we're a new blockchain, right? We're solving all this problem. We have 100,000 transactions per second, and we are making pilots with this, that, and that, right? We're not thinking about this. We're thinking, okay, what do we need to have a horizontally scalable Ethereum ecosystem? What do we need? How can we make a POA-based network connected by bridges without having other solutions? How to make this possible, and how to make our network survive? So this is two main questions we have now, and we are more focused on how we deliver, not how other people deliver on our tool. Because if you start to think about cases of third parties, it will be like consulting for them, right? Oh, we have a network, and when you think like, okay, there is a problem, and there are so many projects, we can leverage what we're doing, and we don't need to find exact people; they will find us because it's this life structure of this ecosystem. Yeah. That's how we're looking for partnerships, delivering, and it's good if you know what are you doing. It's easier.
Oh yeah.
Do you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, sometimes it's easier just to stay like, hey, let's get our own shit covered, and then we can bring in people as we can. I mean, at least with Giveth, there's a lot of people who want to use our platform. It's not ready yet. So I'm sorry, no, and you gotta, it's like on an airplane, you gotta put your mask on first, right? So, Arthur, you got any questions for these guys?
Yeah, sure. So the Open Chain Explorer, is that it's just the Chain Explorer repo under the POA network, or as you said that you didn't have that totally open yet?
No, yeah, it's not open yet. But if you would like to participate, so send us a message, and then we'll include it too. So idea of this project is to have it open source, but we decided to make an announcement later and prepare a release because we want to make it valuable to community before we open source it, right? Because here you have some expectations about the Explorer. If we open it now, it will not meet your expectations, and we want to have you to say, aha, this is what I need. You're like, wow, they did it, right? wow, I can take it. It's it's here, it's built, and
just a quick note: if you want to contribute to Explorer, make sure you know how to use Elixir.
well, it's Elixir based, but it's a good thing because it's like if you ever used to Ruby, it's a similar syntax.
And then I don't know to what depth we can really go into this, but you at one point mentioned the possibility of supporting or trying to integrate support for tokens beyond just ERC20 for the bridge. Can you talk a little bit about more about that and what specific use cases or reasons you saw for doing that?
Yeah, so it's a question raised by community asking, okay, guys, you are working on bridges. Do you have a solution to CryptoKitties problem? And CryptoKitties is a non-fungible token, and idea was to build a use case, and we have a researcher working on this use case. So use case, you have ownership of this token on one network, and computation for this token on another network. So ownership can be on foundation network, and breeding or some other possible interaction between these tokens can be on POA based network. Yeah, so it's on our pipeline, but it's in the form of research, and we probably will prepare a use case for then publish it in February.
So what unique challenges have you found with trying to transfer non-fungibles through Relay?
Well, unique challenges here is when you're doing something for the first time, it's not easy to figure out what you need to do, right? And so this is there is no exact problem to solve, right? There are CryptoKitties on main Ethereum network, but how do you transfer them? But you cannot transfer them now. If there is another game like this, so let's create a new game where part of a cat is on one network and another part on another network. Schrödinger cat.
So
Here and there.
Frankenstein cat. You can pass the tail to this guy. Maybe the head goes over here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's I don't know even if I think that's ERC 721, right? Is that pretty solid? Is the non-fungible token standard solidified yet?
Yeah, we don't have here in our chat our researcher who is doing this, but yeah, it's a solid thing. And CryptoKitties are it's not only 7-1, it's also some additional contracts, but the contract is the standard itself is, I think it's a great way of bringing more traffic to side chains and networks, because lots of collectibles, non-fungible assets, if you think about them, like lots of real world objects are,
like houses.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's somebody in the audience that could speak to this more intelligently, but it seems like it would be good to at least look into. I think I saw there was some progress. Somebody was trying to make non-fungible that could be stored in ERC20 wallets, but at least on a conceptual level, I'm not really sure how you would do that. But yeah, I mean, you might want to just poke your researcher on that. And again, there might be somebody that knows more about it in the audience.
Yeah, I mean, that's this is one of the goals of this Scaling Now, podcast, whatever it is, interview series, is to really try to get everyone to connect. So if you're in the audience and you have some ideas here, don't be shy to reach out. These guys have a great Telegram group, which actually has like 8,000 people or something ridiculous. Like, you guys actually have a huge network. Really impressive.
Yeah, we didn't ask these people to come. They just they're just coming and asking the same questions. Yeah, exchanges.
You guys are doing really cool stuff. You guys are doing really cool stuff. So I hope you guys can save the date, March 5th and 6th. On the 5th, we're doing kind of a smaller group, like brainstorming session on scalability now in Barcelona. And then on the 6th, it's going to be a little bit more open, but still invite only. DApp teams can send in an application that's not written yet, but we're going to create a little application so that we can have a few people from all the DApp teams that really need scaling solutions to all just throw you guys all in like a gym or something with some tables and see how it works out. It won't be so formal, but I really hope you guys can show up because you guys are real trailblazers in this space. So.
Can we sponsor it?
No, it's a free thing. You know, we're Giveth. We're not trying to make money.
Yeah. No, we just let's say if you need some, something to, to help organize it, we would love to support it.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. I'll come. We have a group on Riot called Scalability Now or Scaling Now. Sorry. Gosh, I don't even know the name of this show, whatever. And so come there. We're doing a lot of the organization in general there, and then we'll break into a smaller Riot group, and I'll send you a link to that.
Yeah, because it's a great thing that you're making this type of event. Yeah,
I know we need it. I know Giveth needs it. I'm sure a lot, and I'm sure a lot of other dApps need it. So hey, let's make it happen. But now I want to transition because I got a few questions. This Niraj guy is really interested in your project. He's got some cool questions, and then I really want to talk governance. So if you're here for scaling, see you later. Let's talk POA network. I would love an overview of the experiments you guys are doing with the governance on your protocol.
Okay, I can explain like a model.
Yeah, let me
Okay.
for 2 minutes explain why we need it, right? So when you start new POA network, right, you have to select some validators. Who those validators are, right? Who are validators on Kovan network, and how they were selected, and what is the life cycle of validator? How this validator is added or removed? Who can vote out this validator? So those questions, we raised for ourselves. So first, who validators are? So we start to think that it's good to reuse existing trust mechanisms, and one of the good trust mechanisms we have here in the US is public notary. So what is good about public notaries is that it's relatively easy to get. It proves that you're like a good person. A good person means that you don't have criminal record. That's proven by third-party Oracle, which is for us is the U.S. government, and they do some, and also they oracleize this information because it's publicly available on their website, on the Secretary of State website. You can find my first name, last name, and proof of my physical address. So they're oracleizing my physical address. And also, when you get this license, you have to give an oath, and you swore that you you will do this public duty, right? And also that you will keep your physical address and in place, and if you move somewhere, you have to update this physical address. And any concerned third party can ask you to perform a notarial act. So they can ask you to actually prove your identity. And you cannot say no. You can say, I am on vacation, I am in Thailand or whatever, but you can say it only a few times. After this concerned third party can vote you out using this legal mechanism. So we decided to reuse this trust mechanism, but it's possible to find individual validators with different professions for different types of POA-based network. Okay, so we have these validators. How to prove individual parts of their identity. So this is one part. And second, how to add them. We need some kind of trusted ceremony, and Roman will explain about trusted ceremony, how we start this network, from first validator with like special role to group of validators. And second, after we set up this network, it's not our network, it's a network of validators, how they manage themselves. And they're not software developers, right? But they need to have tools which can be audited by community, and they can be sure that these tools actually doing what they're intended to do. Yeah, so Roman, can you jump in with ceremony?
Sure. So when the new POA network starts working, there is one validator, master of ceremony, and we decided that master ceremony is allowed to add up to 12 validators. And the way it does, it also has to be done in a very secure and a trustless way. So the master of ceremony creates those like 12 keys, and he gives those keys to the validators. However, we don't want master of ceremony to know the keys. So we created like a D app. It's called like a ceremony D app, where every validator, he can like, when the validator receives the initial key, he can exchange those keys into 3 other keys: validator key, payout key, and voting key. So why do we have those 3 types of keys? Because with the first key, validator key, that allows you to validate blocks on your Parity node, somewhere on your hosting provider. And then let's say like we don't want to store all the money, all the like rewards on this node, and that's why we have this payout key. So every like an hour or so, this node will actually send all the money that were rewarded to this validator to some payout key. So in case if that node was hacked. And then there is a third type of key, voting key, where you can just easily load it to MetaMask, and that's how, and this key will only be allowed to participate in ballots in the governance systems. So how does the governance work? Basically, right now we have 3 types of ballots. The first ballot is keys management. So let's say I'm a validator and I lost my keys. I lost my payout key, I lost my voting key, or something happened with my validator's key. I can issue a ballot, or I can ask any other validator, can someone create a new ballot for swapping my voting keys? Or let's say we want to add a new validator. There is a new applicant. He claims to be a US. He claims to have a US public notary license, and he wants to validate our network. So I, as a validator, I can create a new ballot, and all other validators, they will vote using the app.
So the D app is like the people who don't have keys can propose a ballot, and then one of the people with keys have to actually accept that proposal?
So creation of ballots is only authorized to validators.
So if you lost your validator key, how would you? You
should ask other validator to create a ballot.
Yeah, so it's on the phone. Yeah, it's a part what we call it social consensus, right? So it's if you cannot resolve it on chain, you have social consensus. But this social consensus is a part of cryptographic consensus because voting keys are the part of consensus. And if you want to, to modify it, with, like if everyone will lose their voting key, they will need to make a hard fork and replace consensus, right? So it's a good thing. So and you can it's deterministic. It's not like someone showed up and then okay, let's create a new ballot. So it's a we call this model self-governance of validators. So they self-govern themselves now. Yeah. So yeah, we have this type. We have type of proposal where validators can swap their keys, where they can create add new validators, and it can be mixed roles. So let's say our role of master of ceremony, he doesn't have a voting rights because. Well, in our network, I am this master of ceremony, so I created this first initial keys, and I distribute this to the validators. And these keys, they're not those keys. They're not. You cannot. It doesn't mean that I had access to validator keys, right? I create initial key, and this key can it should be.
You explain that.
Yeah, and I don't know this new key. So after I finish this ceremony, all these keys are not known to me.
Yeah, there were 3 types of ballots. I think I heard 2.
Yeah. So the second type of ballot is, so right now there is a minimum threshold is basically 3 votes. has to be reached in order to make a decision on a ballot. So the second type, if we want to, let's say if we grow to 25 validators, we definitely need to change that number. So we can vote, let's say, let's have a minimum 6 votes right now for any ballot in order to have any effect.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the third type,
yeah,
and the third type of ballot is the changing some of the contract addresses. So let's say we come up with a better idea for our for our ballot contract. We let's say we hire some new developers, or we prototype, we add more features to our smart contract. Validators can vote for their new consensus mechanism.
Yeah, and the one, for example, we're working on right now, it's so something called DPOA. So it's a delegated POA. So right now, with this first 12 validators, they're selected by first come, first served, but they have to meet some requirements. And the next validators, why do we need 25 validators? Because first 12 validators can be friends of me, right? I can select them precisely, on some testnets, Ethereum testnets, like they're all companies in Singapore, let's say, right? Yeah. So that's why my suggestion to validators to add at least 12 validators plus one more validator. So these validators, they will have a consensus which validator they should add, and after it's good to add this power to token holders. So token holders will be able to deposit tokens, and this is what Vitalik named conditional coin lock voting, where you can, when you put your coins on one outcome, and if this outcome happens, your coins are locked on your successful outcome. So we will implement it, and it will require update of our meta consensus identity at stake, but we don't want to make a hard fork. So where we can utilize this third type of ballot, where we don't need hard fork, but we can update our meta consensus without hard forking. So less changes.
Yeah, and then that kind of goes into a question Niraj had about being able to get POA tokens. Apparently, you guys had an ICO, but there's no actual way to get the tokens yet. Yeah,
so tokens are distributed to participants of pre-sale. It's not a large group of participants. So 122 accounts actually purchased all tokens, but some of them were syndicates or groups. So we have about 1,300 active accounts right now. So you can get some tokens from them. But POA token is not on exchanges, and it's for all new blockchain, it's complicated to get listed. But our community is asking these questions all days when exchanges.
That's the 8,000 people on your Telegram group.
Yeah, that's an important question, and I understand that people who contributed to the success of our network, it's important to be able to
Yeah, that's exactly what Niraj is saying. He's like, dude, I want to dev on your stuff, but I can't get any tokens, and it's kind of weird for me to dev on this project if I can't get any ownership of the token. So
yeah, for now he can use our test network, and our test network will have a faucet, and it's our network is also test network is supported.
Yeah, and if you can find someone who has POA tokens, it works on my Ether wallet, right? So you can actually send tokens via my Ether wallet.
Yeah, or you can find me in person. So when someone asking for some free tokens in person, and or any of our validators, I think they can give some tokens.
You can reach out to validators, and they will.
Reach out. Find them on social networks. Ask them.
It's hard without a market. It's really nice to have this decentralized value estimator, which is the market where people set orders.
I just want to add quickly about the governments that validators can also vote to remove validators. So let's say if I find out that some of the validators has expired notary license, or let's say the validator decided that we don't need master of ceremony, they can create a ballot to remove any validator.
Yeah, they can remove.
So when I go find a validator to bribe for some POA tokens, and they get knocked off, what happens to my POA tokens?
Yeah, so validators, they cannot modify transactions, right? They don't have by consensus level, they cannot modify transactions. So they can only protect level of include transaction in block or not. If it's valid, it will be included. It's a question about security risk and security models. So we have audit on consensus, and if 51% of validators are good actors, the consensus is secure. So finality of chain is not instant. It's not like tender mint. So it's a number of validators multiplied by block time. So right now we have 7 validators and 5 seconds block time. So finality of the network is 35 seconds for now.
That's pretty good. I'd take.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, well, in main Ethereum network, Coinbase has like 50 blocks multiplied by 15 seconds. So it's also yeah. So that's our security model. Yeah, validators, if they're like not many validators, they can be like some security risks for them, personal security risks. But increasing number of validators, we decrease the security risk. And if speaking about public notaries, there are 4.7 million public notaries in the US, I think, and we can find more. And yeah, there's some risks from possible risks from regulator who can be interested in what we're doing here. But I don't.
So if Arthur assassinates one or something, we don't have to worry about that because there's 4.7 million other options.
Yeah, well, it will be a problem for each individual validator, right? Yeah, and we're trying to make like less incentives for attackers to get validated. So let's say you can hack a validator's node, right? But if you hack only one node, well, it's you cannot break consensus, right? You need to hack many nodes. How do you do this? Okay, you can try to hack our, let's say, centralized repository, right, or submit something to, but we have some security practices. Let's say validators know they don't have any incoming connections, so they connect from outside to peers, and also they don't pull anything from let's say GitHub or somewhere, or from centralized resources. Yeah, so we're thinking about this, and we're trying to mitigate and transfer risk from validators. But at the end of the day, they're keepers of consensus, and there is a risk-reward model. If you're in this, you have to take some risk, right?
Yeah.
So that's
well.
But
so
good thing.
I have 2 questions, and then we probably got to run. But I want to hear kind of timeline, especially including when you're. I mean, of course, timelines are soft. I will never hold you to it. I understand how things go. So, but kind of a timeline, especially when token might hit an exchange, because there's people asking about that. And then also when you're going to move, because right now you have 3 validators, right? When you're going to move to 12. And then I also, that's the first question. I want a list of all the projects you guys are working on, because you got so many. But
yeah, I understand. So when exchanges we cannot answer, but our roadmap is published on our website. So we have so right now we're working on what's called a stability phase. So we were adding more validators, and right now we have 7 validators. So ceremony is ongoing, and so before hard fork we had 3. And hard fork happened on Monday, and now we added 4 more. And I think at the end of the week, we'll have 12 validators, and validators will start to use governance the app to add new validators using voting. So they will propose new validators, and those people will not be added by me, but they will be added by validators, and they will do it until they will reach 25 validators. So this is for the first network, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have
where's the timeline on? Because you said you were going to peg it to an ERC20 token potentially.
Yeah, so this is our plan for March to peg POA coin into ERC20 token and to make it listed on decentralized exchanges on mainnet.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our plan for March.
Oh, you guys are pushing forward pretty quickly. So
yeah, that's what
and then list of projects. I mean, I know you got this Block Explorer project, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. So Explorer. Also, we have this ICO wizard. We'll rename it to Token Wizard soon because regulations. But yeah, this is the only one free tool to create token and crowd sale campaigns on client side. So it doesn't require any server side, only application and blockchain. So we will continue to work on identity DApps. We have several DApps which are like simple to explain, like proof of physical address, but not easy to implement. So we have proof of physical address, which is working, and we have in our roadmap proof of bank account, proof of phone number, social network. So basically, it's like key-based verification, but on-chain. There are some projects which promise to do the same, but they're not delivering this independent oracles. So our idea is to have this identity DApps as independent oracles. Yeah, so this is like main part.
And Trust Wallet, is that considered one of your projects?
Trust Wallet is developed by independent company, but we will we plan to use the app feature of Trust Wallet, and they will have the app browser. It's their beta now, and all our DApps for governance will be integrated with Trust Wallet. Yeah. Also, we are going to work on a new consensus algorithm for our network. So right now our first candidate is Honey Badger BFT because it's asynchronous BFT, and it works on with network with slow connections, and interesting, it has a censorship protection, which is good for POA network where our validators right now it's all validators with non-identity, so it's not a lot of tools for censorship protection from regulator, but using these ring signatures we can add this feature to the consensus. And also our plan is to launch one more POA network. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
I don't hear anyone else.
Yeah, same here. I can only hear you, Igor, and I cannot hear them.
But we're live, so let's discuss exchanges.
So another, we also getting a lot of professional Rust developers that will help us with our POA bridges.
Yeah. Okay, so it seems like YouTube is over, or not? Let's wait for them, or should we refresh it? Giveth.
Yeah, it looks like they're rejoining right now.
They're joining?
No, they dropped.
But yeah,
it looks like they're rejoining right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're here anymore. let's just quit.
Okay.
Yeah, I only see you and me. That's it.
Thank you everyone for watching us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Oh no, I see them.
Okay.
Hey,
Oh hey, welcome back.
thank you. Thailand internet, it's not the best. I'm on a hotspot though, so
Oh, you're on hotspot.
it just cut out, and now so Arthur's gone too. But that was pretty much the end. You guys are doing really incredible stuff. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm so happy. I think Parity told me about you guys, and so really am impressed with the trailblazing you guys are pushing forward and doing a lot of the dirty work. And I'm hoping that you can save a lot of other people from, making the same, having to deal with the same issues, and they can just kind of take where we can all build this scalability together. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for
wait.
Yes.
Could I actually get one question on, as a sort of follow-up to the projects that you are working on? Would it be possible to sort of speak? So you have the block explorer that you're doing work on. Of the tools that you only see strong closed source options for currently, where do you see the priorities lying for providing open source alternatives? Not necessarily projects that you take on, but just as general ecosystem solutions.
Like which projects or
like MetaMask, for instance.
Yeah.
Okay. So MetaMask, right? Number one, you can. So well, basically all consensus products. Yeah. Well, yeah. Hi, Joseph. Truffle, right? Yeah. Try to. Well, Truffle. There is no recommendation to use Parity. As far as last time I saw it. And also Infura. Yeah. So. We asked Infura, can we connect our network? Like the answer was like, your network means what? Like test network? No, our side chain. Oh, we don't connect side chains. We connect only main Ethereum network and official test nets. Other chains, it's we don't work with them. So I think it's possible to implement this this type of infrastructure. There are lots of interesting tools to achieve this. What Infura can do, like Terraform, Kubernetes, all this stuff, and and also we can make it without selling data to third party. So this all this basically all consensus products. And interesting thing that people from consensus, they don't understand that there is this type of politic decisions before they start to think about it. So they work inside the system, but they don't understand that the system is protecting foundation network from side chains and forks. So this is one part. Second is closed source stuff like Etherscan. This is the biggest part we need to fix. That's where I see.
Is that about it though? I mean, if that's all, if we just need a couple of those tools, Truffle. I know Giveth, we use our own kind of version of Truffle. We don't really use Truffle. We have our own testing suite and a deployment suite that Jordy just kind of built before Truffle really worked. So so we just kind of keep using that, and then. I assume there's so many people working on open source block explorers with a lot of good incentives. I feel like we can get a lot of those things done even in the next 3 to 6 months, or at least make major pushes for them. So that's pretty promising if those are the only big worries.
Yeah, and probably we need some. There is no way to to actually share some of this work to integrate this efforts. We need some publicity to what we're doing, right? Like some independent resources. Who sponsored Week in Ethereum? Do you know?
It's consensus and status.
Yeah, it's consensus.
But
yeah, can we add a new? Yeah.
Yeah, Evan, dude, Ben Ness he's a good dude, and honestly, he's doing that on his own. He's relatively independent. Of course, he's taking money from these guys, but You know, if you run, I mean, the real thing is that there is, I think that especially, you know, we're such a global ecosystem, and there is quite the epicenter in Europe. And, you know, there's a lot of, the like distribution of ideas is really weak. That's why I'm doing this show, right? It's not because, I mean, obviously I could just solve my issue with Giveth's issue, but I see a bigger issue is that everybody is working on their own solution to these problems, and we just need to get the information out there. And I don't think it's that much of a conspiracy. It's really just we're all so busy, and there needs to be you know, connectors. I know Reese is doing this like Ethereum Commons group, and he would be an important person to connect with on that exact issue as well. And TrueBit as well, like Robbie and Sina are going around and interviewing people about problems. Maybe I could connect you to, there's this L4 foundation or group that is trying to solve Ethereum issues internally, and like, where do all the whales need to put their money so that we can incentivize things like open source block explorers, or you know, maybe even lobby the politics a little bit so that there isn't this closed attitude. In the end, I feel like we got to remember that we're building a new world. We're building a revolutionary tech, and the more times people say no, you know, it's just slowing it down. So I think that there's a lot of support there within the community itself, and we'll get there. So, but yeah, well, thanks guys. Sorry about the break in the middle there, Thailand internet, and the late start. It was a lot of fun, but again, I just want to appreciate. Thank you for the time and staying up late for us, and it was a really good, fun talk. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
And we'll be sure to check your GitHub.
Yeah. Cool. See you guys.
Yeah. Bye-bye.